Welcome to another episode of the Motley Stew Show. My name is Luke Goldstein, and this week we're going to dive into the recent State of the Union speech that President Obama gave on Tuesday night. And after that, we're going to get into a plethora of responses from the GOP and the Tea Party. All told, there's a lot of fact-checking and bullshit testing that we can do. On Tuesday night, President Obama strolled into the House in Capitol Hill, looking very much like a man who was refusing to be a lame-duck president. He looked really happy and really secure, and he has reason to be. Over the last few days, his approval numbers have climbed. Slowly, very slowly, but they have. And he is finding as many ways as he knows to use his office to do things that he wants to get done that Congress refuses to move on. So right off the bat, pretty much in the beginning of the speech, he came out with some of his best achievements.
Tonight, after a breakthrough year for America, our economy is growing and creating jobs at the fastest pace since 1999. Our unemployment rate is now lower than it was before the financial crisis.
Is that all true? Survey says? Yes. As fact-checked by NPR, all of those statements are true. Now, can Obama actually take credit for the economy turning around? Probably. I mean, it's hard to deny him that. It's hard to look at charts like this and say that he didn't have something to do with it. It was a very slow recovery. But while it was slow, the GOP was hammering him for it not moving fast enough. But Mitch McConnell actually had the gall that when he took over as majority leader in the Senate just on January 5th, he credited the GOP with actually the booming, or slowly booming economy. It would be laughably stupid if it wasn't true that he actually said it. Obama went on to bring out his Robin Hood tax deals again, where he would cut corporate loopholes, increase taxes on the rich back to normal levels at Reagan's time, and then use those savings to help pay for some of the programs that he wants to do, like increasing childcare throughout the country, making community college free for 2 years, and refinancing the current student debt for people who are trying to pay it off now and going broke doing it. Now, all of those are awesome policies, and he's going to use those tax breaks to pay for them. Will that actually get passed? Who knows? Stranger things have happened. Later on, he directly challenged all the fear-mongering about what his policies would do.
At every step, we were told our goals were misguided or too ambitious, that we would crush jobs and explode deficits. Instead, we've seen the fastest economic growth in over a decade, our deficits cut by 2/3, a stock market that has doubled, and healthcare inflation at its lowest rate in 50 years. This is good news, people.
Fact check? True again. Like he said, this is good news, people. He dropped a couple lines about the free and open internet for the net neutrality folks, or maybe it was possibly for some of his big money donors that live in Silicon Valley and really want net neutrality. Either way, he put that in there, also talking about expanding broadband throughout the country for faster and stronger internet, which a lot of people are really, really waiting for. In the military section, he brought out the often used phrase about making the military smarter, not bigger. But he also said he would hold the right to unilaterally act in the U.S.'s best interest if need be against terrorists. Translation: drone strikes. More and more drone strikes. He actually lost the crowd on both sides of the aisle when he asked for authorization to use force against ISIL, basically a war statement, which neither side really seems to want to do right now. I don't know if they've lost their taste for blood, or if it's just they feel the tide turning of the American people not wanting to get back into another endless war. Because look, you can't fire missiles at an idea. He did claim that our efforts, along with those in the coalition, have actually stopped ISIL in their tracks. Fact check that. Kinda. They have stopped gaining ground, but they haven't exactly gone away. They're just digging in. And they haven't really been putting on the offense lately that they were before, so it's just kinda stagnant right now. Now, here's a moment that I personally liked.
As His Holiness Pope Francis has said, diplomacy is the work of small steps.
Yep. He name-checked the Pope. That's really one way to rub the Christian right's nose in the fact of when you stand against me, you're standing against the Pope. How you gonna do that? Now, rolling into the third and final act of his speech, he started reaching back to 2007, to his first campaign, where hope and change was more than just peeling bumper stickers on a Prius. He showed that he still has optimism and the idea that he can move past the entanglements of the past.
Imagine if we broke out of these tired old patterns. Imagine if we did something different. Understand, a better politics isn't one where Democrats abandon their agenda or Republicans simply embrace mine. A better politics is one where we appeal to each other's basic decency instead of our basest fears. A better politics is one where we debate without demonizing each other, where we talk issues and values and principles and facts rather than gotcha moments or trivial gaffes or fake controversies that have nothing to do with people's daily lives.
And finally, let's not forget that Obama can actually riff off the cuff comedically if he needs to. For those of you that didn't see his delivery at the Correspondents' Dinner, you should really check that out. I mean, honestly, with good enough writers, Obama could just basically get a late show after he's done running the country. But just to prove he still has it, here's this little gem.
I have no more campaigns to run. My only agenda, I know because I won both of them.
New rule. Don't try to burn the only guy in the room with a mic. He will win. So that wraps up my overview of the president's speech. There's a lot more to dig into, and if you have other comments that you want to make about it or other topics you want to discuss, go ahead and leave them in the comments down below. I'd be glad to dive into it. But I wanted to give the responses a fair shake in this video. So first comes the official response from Joni Ernst, newly elected senator from Iowa. Now let's give her some leeway right now, because honestly, this is not something anybody wants to do. No one on either side ever comes out looking good doing this. It's a terrible job, and to many people who have done it, it's actually been the death knell of their future political careers. Now mainly the reason is we've just come off a speech of somebody controlling the floor in a room of 535 plus people, and we're dropped into this room of one person and basically one cameraman and maybe a sound guy. It's empty, it's lifeless, there's no energy and there's no power. Nothing is projected from this place. No matter what, you come off looking smaller than the president. But Joni Ernst tried her best. Sort of.
Rather than respond to a speech, I'd like to talk about your priorities. I'd like to have a conversation about the new Republican Congress you just elected and how we plan to make Washington focus on your concerns again.
Right off the bat, she says she's not going to debate him point for point. So really, I don't know exactly what kind of response that is. And if she did debate him point for point, it's probably not going to go very well because they can't really win against some of the arguments he made. Then she says that this is going to be a conversation, which with my definition of the word conversation usually means it's two ways. Even this, what we're doing right now, is not a conversation. This is me giving you my point of view. Now the comment section, that can be a conversation. But she's not in a conversation with her viewers. The people that are watching her are just getting her side. So it sounds nice and homey, but it's untrue. Then came this.
And now we're working hard to pass the kind of serious job creation ideas you deserve. One you've probably heard about is the Keystone Jobs Bill. President Obama has been delaying this bipartisan infrastructure project for years, even though many members of his party, unions, and a strong majority of Americans support it. The president's own State Department has said Keystone's construction could support thousands of jobs and pump billions into our economy, and do it with minimal environmental impact.
Let's knock this out right now, because this is an annoyingly loud piece of the echo chamber right now. The Keystone XL pipeline will bring 40,000 jobs for 2 years. After that's over, there will be 50 jobs to maintain the pipeline once it's built. That's it. And when the economists actually looked at the economic benefit of this, it will increase our economy by a staggering, mind-blowingly huge 0.02%. This is not a jobs bill, no matter how much they would like it to be. Then here, Ernst seems to be in complete agreement with Obama while trying to make it sound like something different.
Let's tear down trade barriers in places like Europe and the Pacific. Let's sell more of what we make and grow in America over there so we can boost manufacturing wages and jobs right here at home.
Look, if you want the same thing as he does, just say so. Just work with him on it. Maybe Congress will get their approval ratings higher than my shoe size. So all in all, it was really kind of a weak response from Ernst, but she tried. I mean, she was heavily handicapped from the start, like anybody doing these response speeches, but she gave it her best. It's hard to imagine anyone coming out of this looking strong, but they try every year, and this year, more than ever. Although there is one thing about Joni Ernst's speech that is more insidious. The GOP decided to reach out to Latino voters by having a Spanish translation of her speech read by another person. Another video was filmed for Representative Carlos Curbelo, and Curbelo did give a speech, but it was not a direct translation of hers. He hit all the same bullet points, and he also took out all of her personal life references and put in his own. That makes sense. But he dropped in a line about fixing immigration, which she said nothing about. This is a sad little trick to try to make Latino voters think that the GOP is actually reaching out for immigration reform while not letting the white voters know that you're saying that, because they don't want it. Someone really needs to tell them that we have Google Translate. It's really handy. Also, just even to put another little cherry on top of this, Joni Ernst is known for advocating to make a law saying that English is national language. Not exactly someone you wanted translated into Spanish. Next up is Ted Cruz, darling of the Tea Party, who for some reason wasn't given the job of actually doing the Tea Party official response. But instead he decided to shoot off a random clip from what seemed like an old cell phone while walking out of the chamber. It was more boastful bluster from Cruz, making a lot of platitudes and bullet points that don't go anywhere. But even better was he decided about 40 seconds into his video to quit and start again. And then he uploaded the entire video, including the 40 seconds. He quickly deleted it, but Cruz now finds out what everybody else already knows: the internet never forgets. Original video below. The official Tea Party response came from Congressman Kirk Clausen, and he managed to fail without even saying a word. Literally. When this video begins, for 5 full seconds he just stares at the camera, saying nothing. Then, as if that error wasn't bad enough, at the end of the video, he does the same thing for 22 seconds this time, even managing to look off camera hoping somebody could save him. But no, he comes back, looks at the camera some more, and just waits for them to fade to black. Seriously, for all responses from now forever into the future, you need to know you are not live. You can stop and start again as many times as you want. Make a new video. I mean, how can we trust you with federal policy if you can't find anybody to work iMovie correctly? Now, going back to Clausen, the only main difference with his speech was he decided to use the word Islam when referring to terrorism. Now, Obama mentioned terrorism many times in his speech, profusely, but he never used Islam in his speech. And Clausen decided that is why we will never win, because he can't acknowledge that Islam is terrorism. Cruz hit the same point, but I guess neither of them actually noticed that Joni Ernst also talked about terrorism and never used the word Islam. Funny that. Lastly comes Rand Paul, libertarian candidate who seems to be running kind of a third-party route without being a real third party. He actually gave his speech from inside of a soundstage that looks like a high school drama set. And when searching for this video to download, I actually found out that this is the exact same set he used before for another State of the Union response. The only thing they changed was a plant in the background. Whatever else you might say about Rand Paul, the dude's thrifty. Now, Rand had a few really good points.
The best thing that could happen is for us to once and for all limit the terms of all politicians until we've cut every penny from corporate welfare. I will propose the first ever audit of the Pentagon and seek ways to make our Defense Department more modern and efficient without breaking the bank.
I'm down with all of those, although I would like to see exactly what the term limits he's talking about. But Rand mostly falls apart going back over rehashed bullet points like Obamacare, Libya, mandatory balanced budget, things that are just not going anywhere. He even decided to drag up the light bulb fiasco, which drives me insane. And if you don't know what this is, basically back in 2007, Under Bush, mind you, they passed a law telling light bulb companies and manufacturers that they had to stop making incandescent light bulbs and move to LEDs, more efficient light bulbs. How dastardly of them to want to save power for the country. And in fact, when this came up for a vote, this wasn't partisan in any way. It won by landslides, 86-8 in the Senate and 314-100 in the House. Bush signed it the very next day, so let it go. So that's my take on the responses to the State of the Union. What do you guys think? Did you hear anything that you liked on either side? Are there points that you want to talk about? Is there somebody else that you wished had given a response that you didn't see? Let me know in the comments down below. So thanks again for watching another episode of the Motley Stew Show. You can like, favorite, share, subscribe. All the cool kids are doing it. Stay tuned for next week, and as always, here's a little bit of Logan. They've lost their taste for blood, or if it's just they feel the tide turning of the American people not wanting to get back into another endless war. Because look, you can't fire missiles at an idea.